everybody. Thanks to be here. Today we are going to talk about Karma, which is a module to score any records in your Odoo database. So I'm Julien Jézéquel from Numigi. I'm a business analyst, and there is Quentin.
And I'm Quentin, and Quentin or Quentin, and I've been doing Odoo since the version 7. Sorry. Okay. So Karma is a new application for Odoo. We'll show it to you in a bit. So the plan for the presentation will give you a bit of introduction and context about why we did this module or this set of modules. We'll talk a bit about the general conception of the application, and then we'll do a quick demo to show it to you and talk a bit about the possible next steps and the roadmap. So
the basic, the initial need of the client was to be able to give his user useful metrics to manage their daily process and operations. So behind that module, that set of module, there is an idea of which you can have different people looking at the same data and having a different understanding of it. So with Karma, you are adding a score which is the same for every user, no matter what is understanding or perception of the data. So we will give example and demo afterwards.
So there's two main types of application of use of the Karma. So the first one is more business driven. So you can add a score directly to some record in Odoo. So in any models of Odoo, you can define a score. So according to a set of rules, depending on your business, you build a score for this main element. The other one is more management driven, so it's more for internal performance management. So rather than having a score on an element in your Odoo, you're having a score for a user. So the score is not calculated for an record, it's calculated based on the action of the user. So it's more of a gamification tool, and it gives feedback to the user while doing these operation, and feedback as well for the management if they can look at those scores and those feedbacks. So it's a really powerful management tools. It has some benefits of using the Karma. So firstly, for the ease of internal management and the operation, because it gives live metrics while doing those operations, live feedback, and you can track performance, you can track goals as well, because you can set goals depending on the rules, and then you can act upon those metrics to be proactive while doing some operation in Odoo. Secondly, it gives you the opportunity to focus on the work that adds the more value, so really to prioritize your work. So you can, for example, give more of your attention to a lead that has more chances to be converted as a client. Or another example would be in a situation where you might be inclined to prioritize a client A, but it's just because you know this client, but according to the Karma or the scores that Odoo tells you, you might be better off prioritizing another client. So it gives you real insight based on real rules and action, not just like intuition.
So for the general conception, We'll dive more in depth after this. But just to give you a resume of the solution, there are two types of karma. The first one is a classic one, where you can define rules, conditions, configuring, of course, configured by the user to compute a score. So that's the first one. And the second one that enables to compute score based on other karma score. So it enables you to, let's say, have a parent-child level on as many levels as you want to calculate, to compute a score. So there is another component that we add to the module, which is the calculated field. Because to evaluate the condition, you have to use an existing field. So, but you may want to use, let's say, the sum of the yearly sum of sales for a single partner. But this field does not necessarily exist in your database. So in order to be able to use some computed fields, we add on the solution the calculated fields. So it works with a template field, which needs to be coded, programmed. And on top of it, you have date range that you can combine with template fields to call the calculated field, the computed field, into the conditions. And a last big, huge component of the solution is a display widget to display the scores on the form view of the records. So it displays, of course, the scores, and it adds a few features so that, for example, the user can see the history of the scores, and of course, if the configuration enables it, to refresh and recompute live the score of the karma. So we'll see in the demo, but of course you can filter which record sets you want to target to compute. For example, if you have 10,000 partners in your database, but you want to target your karma only on customers, you can filter and configure to target only your customers. So another point is there is no conflict management of display to display the scores. So you can choose to display as many karma scores as you want on the form view of any model. And something we won't be able to see today, because the solution is really large, is the user dashboard. You have the component, which is a display of the score, that you can use to compute scores based on user action in your system. So this one we won't be able to see today, but if you are interested, the repository GitHub is very well documented, so you can, of course, try it on your own. Just before we dive into the demo, two things to note regarding the limits. The display of the score widget on the form view needs coding. So to date, we have only 4 or 5 models that we are able to display, provide the display widget on the form view. And of course, we can add any model, but it needs still coding. Also, of course, if you want to do it, configure it on a large scale, let's say, and maybe 20 models with very complex rules, it can be time-consuming to do. So we advise to do it progressively, step by step. It's better that way. Last but not least, the configuration needs a bit of technical knowledge. As for the conditions, it's a Python expression. So if you have no technical knowledge at all, it may be a challenge to configure. Also, but for the human resources part, if you are to deploy that set of modules, you should consider the importance of having a proper change management, because it can be perceived as a micromanagement, or I won't have the right term in English, but the police control, you know. So it needs to be well managed. I think that's it for the versioning.
Yeah, so we'll dive into the demo. We'll show it in Odoo version 14. The modules are available as well in version 12, and both in community and enterprise version. It works the same way. So for the demo. It might be a bit abstract for now, so we'll try to show it to you. But we'll stay with simple examples so you can better understand. So I'll start by showing you the result of a calculated karma. So on the contact form, on the partner form, we have our lovely Azure partner. And then at the top of the form, you can see the results of two karma that have been configured and that are showed. So the first one is called customer data. So the customer data, it's a karma to compute and calculate simply if the form of the partner is well documented. So if you have the right information on the fields that are inputted. So what you see, the big number that you see, the 33, it's the result, so it's really the score that has been calculated. You can have as well a grade that is associated to the score. So it's not just numerical. You can have a translation of a grade. And then you can refresh the computing. You can see also all the history of the computation. And lastly, you can see the number of conditions that have been met, which impacts the scores that you can see.
So this is the end result of karma score. And if we go to the configuration karma, so we have a new icon from the home page. And when you click, you land on the karma list. So here you have all the karma that you have created for your database. And if we go to the form view of the karma, there you have several things. So of course you can name your karma. The name is only backend use, and the label here will be used to display in the form view. So you can use a name for your own use as a manager, but display another term that will more fit the use of the karma. Of course, it's translatable, And then you will have to choose one model on your database on which the computation, the score will be made. Something we have added is a link that you can click on when you see the form view score. So, for example, here we have set Odoo community.org, and if you click on the name of the karma, you can land on another website or any site. This enables to document your karma, to put a story behind, and to make it easily understandable by your user. So, as we explained earlier, there is a type that you can choose. Simple here, which is selected, will allow you to set different conditions here, and each conditions will be linked, will be associated to a field of the model. So if we take this example of a simple karma, we have here the possibility to add as much conditions as we want, and to put conditions with this field. The target is just a label to display the user when he will be able to look at the details of the score for understanding purpose. So if I click on my form view here, on my score, I will be able to see the detail of the score and the target, which we made very short, but you could actually add as much text as you want. And its purpose is to make it easily understandable for the user. So on the list here, I see I have reached 2 conditions out of 4 conditions, and I can see that each condition have a result. So if I make the parallel between the configuration and the result, each condition that is set in the karma will be displayed in the detail of the score. And of course, something that you can do is either so you have two type of result, true or false, and you can set a number on true and false. So you could decide to, let's say, have if your condition is true, let's say compute 100, and if it's false, compute -100. So you can really do what you want with it. And the weighing is just to be able to ponder the different conditions. So let's say on a partner, the phone and the mobile will have the more weight because it's really useful data, and let's say tag would be less, of course, because it's less relevant. So this enables the user to really see the details and explain to him where the score comes from. So if we go back to the configuration form, we have different options here. We have an option to configure the schedule, the frequency of the computation. So behind karma there is a cron which will trigger the computation of the scores, and you can choose to compute daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly, or even none, and compute the score only on the form on the save. So each time you create and update a record, you will have a score up to date. So this option here is to force the computation on save. So it can be relevant, let's say, for sales. You want to have a direct feedback on your sales. Is it well documented? You don't want to wait the cron to compute. This option here is enabling the computation by click on the form view. So if I'm here and let's say I won't compute on save, but still I will, let's say, erase the phone. See, my score doesn't move because I unactivate the computation on save. But since I authorized the refresh of the score, the user can still click and recompute the score. So it's really flexible on that side. Other options. So you have a sequence. This one here will be used, of course, to display your karma and sequence them in the list view. But it can also be used when you use inherited karmas with different levels to compute the karma before another one to have proper score calculations. So this for the condition. The condition works so this way. Here I will be able to select a field, any field on the model that I have selected for my karma. Then I will set a label. The label is only available on the score details to give the user information. And of course, I will set a condition. So each line requires a condition. And this part, of course, cannot be done by a functional that has no technical knowledge. For now, maybe we will try and evolve this, but today that's it. And you have then three fields. The result if the condition is true, the result if the condition is false, and the weighing, which allows to ponder the score of the line for the computation of the total score. So, as I said, you can filter the karma to target a specific records set in your database. So here I'm on the contacts REST partner model, and I may want to add a domain to, let's say, only target the partner who are company type, let's say. So this is useful to reduce the time of the computation by reducing the record set, and also to overall have a better targeting of your karma. As for this part, results, so each condition will trigger and compute and result in a score, and the total score of the karma can be put into grade. The grade is the text label corresponding to the score. So, because maybe for my user, if I didn't put the story well or document my karma well, he won't know what 10 means or what 90 means. But if I put with it a label, let's say good or high priority, it will be easier for him to understand what the score stands for. So this is for the simple karma, and we have the inherited karma. Just before we jump into the inherited karma, just to show you how this works. So here I have my customer data completions, and each time I will modify, add or erase the data that is targeted in the condition of the karma, the score will update automatically. So let's say there. And of course, as I said, you can check the history of the scoring. So you can see here that the score has been calculated 6 times at different dates, and you can find the score for each computation. And you can even consult the details of each score. So let's say I want to know why this line has a 33 score. I can click on the score and still retrieve the details of the computation. So we'll jump on the inherited karma. Inherited karma is the same thing. The only difference is that instead of having condition lines, you will use existing karma scores to combine and use to compute a new score. So in this case, I have used 2 existing karma, which are on the contact model, and I want to use it on the CRM opportunity. So in order to do this, of course, you need to have at least one field that link the model, the target model of the karma, and the child karma that you are using. Otherwise, there can be no computation. So here I have chosen opportunity, and in the karma, I have to select which fields I want to use to retrieve the model. So simple as that. And of course, I will be able to give a weight on each condition line for each child karma. So in this example, the partner sales count is another karma, and it weighs for 80% of the total score. And the customer data completion, I care about it because I want it to be enough complete to have a correct, to be able to make a sales, to record a sales. But the first data here, the first KPI I want to use is sales count. So if I use in the CRM, here, and here I have a score of 100. Why? Because I have my score is 100 on each karma. So let's say on my partner, I am a bad salesperson, and I didn't fill up the phone coordinates. If I compute again, I will have a score of 93 because I have 100% on the sales count, but I have 0 or maybe that's it. I have 100 on the sales count, but on the karma data completion, I only have 67. But as the weighting is modifying the result, I will end up with 93. So it's this type of mechanism. I think we have made we have finished with what we wanted to present it. We can't unfortunately go into full details of all of the modules because it would be too long. But don't hesitate. We have good documentation on the GitHub. Just to finish on this, we have a roadmap going. We have some features to be delivered maybe by the end of the year. We want to be able to display info message contextually. So we want to use the base of Karma to be able to display a message contextually. So let's say it would be on a task. If you are at a stage ongoing and you don't have planned hours, we want to be able to say to display a message that say you should have planned hours at this stage. Let's to give an example. So this would be helpful to make the newcomers in our company be more comfortable with the company policies. And also what we want to do is to be able to raise blocking exceptions contextually. So same thing as the condition in the Karma. So, but instead of computing a score, we want to raise an exception error, a blocking exception that force the user to fill the missing data. So that's the short-term goals. As for the midterm, we want to optimize the configuration tool because, as you see, today it's not very practical for non-technical functional consultant to be able to fully parameterize the tool. So there is room for improvement on this side. And also, one of the limits that we said earlier, today we have to code every widget to add it on a new model form view. So let's say if we want to add the widget to display the score on purchase order, we have to add another code, another module to the solution. So it's not very flexible on this side. We have finished our demonstration. As we said, don't hesitate to have a look on our repository. It should be well documented, and if you have any question or anything, you can raise an issue or a comment on GitHub. Actually, we create that solution for a client. It was a huge work from the team, and the client didn't use it for 3 years. So it was like a waste of time and money of this side. But he started using it like a year or two ago, and it finally pays, but still. But we, Numusi, use it and did use it on a project and task to use as an incentive on data completion. Jordi, do you have a question?
Have you considered using Python-based rules? So instead of fields, just allowing the user to define
a fully Python expression?
Python expression, like the scheduled actions or the actions, etc.
We have not considered it yet, but it might be a solution. What we want to have is ideally a solution where any functional that knows the fields and the solution will be able to configure, but we still haven't found a way.
The reason is that sometimes the scoring might be more complex, so it's not even for functional completely feasible to define. But still, it's important to define scoring based on just
of course.
combination.
Okay. Sorry? 12 and 14. Not 16, but we didn't plan to migrate in 16 very soon. But of course, you can do as you please. On this side, probably we will be available in 16, maybe in 12 to 18 months, maybe.
For now, for now it's on our organization repos, but we'll try to propose it to the OCA. I think the repos are already created, but empty for now.
Is there any security rules?
Such as?
Does any user can access the Karma application?
No, of course there are. We didn't go in too much into details, but there are different groups of rules of access, and as a manager of the Karma application, you can configure the Karma, but as a user, you can only see the score, of course. You cannot touch or modify the configuration.
Can you list them, order? I didn't see. Can you order, for example, partners by Karma?
Actually, Abdel, who is here, has just recently worked on this option. So it will probably be available very soon. We didn't mention it, but it will be possible. Yeah.
Because then how do you, I'm thinking of reviewing, right?
Of course.
Or the ones that are at least scoring so that you understand why. And so in terms of reporting, for you to review the quality, how do you report on it? How
of
do
course.
you make decisions on data?
Of course. But the main conception initially was to give the feedback live on the fly. So you are consulting a partner, a CRM lead, and you have the score. But so far, and I speak so far because this feature is coming very soon, you had to go with the BI application to be able to make your joint and then score, display your list and sort it. Yeah.